I'm Sabina Rashid. I work at the James V. Grant School of Public Health and I work under the Realising Rights Project.
That's great. And what was the subject of your presentation today?
It was building a platform for sexuality and rights in the country, so creating a public space for discussions on a very invisible issue. It was more about how we worked to develop a space for various groups, including sexual minority groups, to come and build coalitions and share their experiences with other groups working or not working in this field. So we tried to build a sort of a larger movement for many different people to come together to talk about issues that some have never talked about and some have been forced to become silent about, and some who want to talk about it but they don't know how to kind of build those bridges.
And what would you say was particularly successful about your approach?
The fact that we've had such a good response, there's been so much enthusiasm, there's been a widespread sort of positive coverage in newspapers, both English and Bangla. The fact that we've actually managed to build relationships of trust with sexual minority groups, we've managed to build relationships of trust with other NGO professionals, health professionals, psychotherapists, students who've approached us for more training, who approached us to be participants in these workshops, who approached us about how they can build coalition with other networks to work either in research or advocacy. So it's been many different things coming together, I would say.
That's great. And are there any sort of particular lessons that you feel you've learned from the process for other researchers?
I think it's good to be optimistic. I know it seems like a very obvious one, but we were starting from zero, and the fact that we went in and just decided we're going to build a platform, we're going to create public visibility, we're going to try and work more broadly, and within that we also tried to, some of the lessons we're trying to focus within that. So even though it was sort of a broad-based approach, we decided to focus on some groups. That was the journalists, to increase media representation, academics from outside of Dhaka, because they don't have enough resources but they're interested and you have to reach outside of Dhaka, and the minority groups that actually don't have the space nor the capacity, or even if they have the capacity, don't have the information or the resources to move forward. So I think one of the lessons is you can be broad-based but have a focus in some ways. Also realizing that who the policymakers are, who the actors are fluid, it changes and takes shape in many different ways. So it's better not to have a fixed idea of who your policymaker is. It's also good to, one of the lessons, to be always on the lookout. I'm constantly looking for opportunities for funding or for groups or institutions that are interested. And then I try and pitch what we're trying to do to try and get some funds so we can continue the momentum or at least create spaces. So one example is when we got the trainers from India. I wrote to them saying we have very little resources, we were trying to build a platform. And both the trainers, who are very well known, said, we'll come at sort of a little to no cost fee if you just cover our airfare and basic accommodation to come and do the training. So we have put ourselves out there to keep trying. And we've built that trust, I think, because it's a genuine sort of interest in pushing forward the agenda. And not just holding on to it alone. So I've allowed everyone to take ownership. I think it hasn't been, this is the James V. Grant School of Public Health, but everyone can take it forward in different ways. I think that's important.